Mr. Football here, and today we're going to talk about defense. So, I'm going to talk about the concept of run fits and defense and talk about how it makes everything just more simple to learn about defense. And this is how I really figured out how to coach defense, how to understand defense. And once I had it figured out, everything else made sense to me. And it's opened up a whole new world, and it makes my job easier. And I think that players need to understand this concept too, because in their mind, they're the ones actually running the defense. They, need to know it. And if you can't convey that to them, then that's your own problem. But you've got to teach your players how to understand the run fits of your defense, no matter what kind of defense it is. I first learned about run fits and understanding them in the 4-3 defense. And so that's what I'm going to show you today is understand how you and or how players fit into the 4-3 defense.
All right, so here's our 4-3 defense. Obviously, we know that the 4-3 is based on the alignment of the defensive line and the linebacker. So we have 4 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, and then our corners, our strong, and free safety. So based on that, we're going to talk about the run fits of this defense. This is the defense that I first learned about run fits in, and it all made sense to me. So this is how I'm going to kind of teach it to you guys as well. So in the 4-3 defense, and right now we've aligned to a pro set with a tight end, 2 running backs, and 2 receivers. And so based on this, we'll just talk about our defensive line play first, talk about their gaps, talk about their run fits. Just in the most simple way, we'll draw up a play to this and talk about our run fits. So first off, we'll talk about the defensive tackle and the nose guard here, the nose, however you want to call them. But they're both just defensive tackles playing inside on the interior. Our defensive tackle, he is going to align a 3 technique in B gap, shaded on the outside of the guard. And so his gap responsibility, he is known as a spill player, and he's going to spill anything out of the B gap. So if there was a run that was happening to the B gap, I mean, in a sense, this guy should either be tackling this or making this guy bounce it out. Like if it was just a dive play going to the B gap, like this guy should be, making the play. I mean, that's what it's happening in the most simplistic form. But then we have our nose. Our nose is going to align outside of the center. He's going to line outside the center in a shade or a 1, however you want to call it, and he's responsible for weak side A gap. Now you can rotate these guys if you got one guy that's more dominant than the other. Maybe this guy's a quick guy for you, someone that can get back there, and it all just depends on your personnel. But then, you could flip these guys, rotate them if you want one guy to always be the 3 technique, one guy to always be the 1, and then you can also mirror them to the strength. Okay. Now let's talk about our defensive ends. Our strong side defensive end to the call, which meaning coming from the Mike linebacker, he's going to give us a strong left call, and he's going to align basically because there's a tight end here, we want him to align a 9 technique. Now our defensive end, he is a D gap spill player. He's going to spill everything from the D gap, hopefully spilling it to the outside. We don't want this guy. We don't essentially want the run to get outside of him. The defensive end on the weak side, our weak side defensive end, he is a C gap spill player. So the C gap is outside of the tackle here. Talking about the linebackers, and then we'll kind of come back to the run fits just in themselves. But our linebackers, our Mike linebacker, who will give us the strength call, set the defense up, he is A gap strong responsible, since that's his gap that he's aligned in at the current time. Our Sam linebacker goes to the strength call. He goes to the strength. So our strength right now is set up to the tight end, obviously, because they could run this way and we would be outmatched. So we want to overset to the tight end. That's kind of the name of our formation or our front here, the over front. And then the will linebacker, he is a a B gap responsible player here in the 4-3 for the weak side. So if we count all of our gaps, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 players, 7 gaps, and every gap is covered based on this formation. Formations do change that alignment. That's something to talk about in another video. But just based on this, in a way, we've set up this formation. And, obviously this is great, drawing it up on the chalkboard or whatever, drawing it up in here on Huddle, but at the same time, players got to be players. You have to read your keys, and there's all kinds of other things that go into it. Just drawing it up, it should make sense. Like, every player is responsible for a gap just based on this formation. So let's draw up a play here, and let's talk about how our run fits should affect the play. And remember, this is all in theory because players still have to make tackles and players still have to block, destruct, and the offense has to block their blocking assignments. So there's all kinds of different considerations that go on. So let's talk about power. Power is one of the most common plays that's run, just based out of this formation, and it's a popular formation or popular play in itself, and it's very good. So we're going to draw up power versus our 4-3 overfront. So the play side tackle, he's going to block down on our tackle, our 3 technique there, and he may have help here from the guard itself. They may try to blow this guy out, but what we want our tackle to do is beat this guy. He's a B-gap spill player, so the run's not going to happen to the B-gap, but we want him to beat this guy right here, and possibly disrupt what's going on back here. So we don't want him to drop down, make a pile unless it's a last resort kind of situation, but we want him to beat the crap out of his player right here, getting that B gap. Okay, our nose, he's going to get blocked by the center. He's going to get blocked back by the center, and in a sense here, we just want him to get in that A gap spill position, where nothing's coming back. Let's talk about our end, our strong side defensive end. Okay, his key is going to be reading that tight end. Well, the tight end, more than likely, is not going to touch. On power, he's not going to touch this guy, so he's going to go block down probably on our inside linebacker. We don't want him to get down there. And so what his run fit and responsibility is, he's going to go ahead and play that D-gap spill, but he needs to be on this guy. He needs to be in the hip on that tight end, compressing that hip down, because we don't want our linebacker to get blocked by this guy. Otherwise, we're in trouble. Okay. Our weak side defensive end, he's more than likely going to get blocked, blocked back, blocked out of the play, and we don't want him out of the play. We want him to still be involved, and so he's going to be a CBR player, a counter bootleg reverse. If there was to be a reverse comeback, or say like a play action by the quarterback, something like along those lines, like he's there for it. Okay, so we want him to play the C gap still. We still want him to play the C gap, but be wary of something coming back. And then the one thing that kind of gives us some trouble here, and which will give the Will his key here, that the power is coming away from him, is going to be this player right here. The guard, backside guard, is going to be pulling. He's going to be pulling here for our Sam linebacker. And then the fullback here, he's going to try to kick out our defensive end, and they're going to run power, more than likely to the C to D gap. Now, where do our linebackers fit into this? Well, our linebacker can't get blocked here. He can't get blocked because he could easily get blocked by the guard, or he could get blocked by the tight end. And so he should be reading a fast flow key to where he can get outside here. Hopefully he doesn't get beat by this block. Our Sam linebacker should be reading the down block of that guard, them collapsing together, reading the fast flow coming at him, and he should be essentially meeting the ball carrier out here. If it does come to the C gap, he needs to be, even if this guy's out of the play, he needs to be blowing this up. he may not be the one that makes the tackle, but in a sense, like, it just depends on every one of these players, and then we're just kind of drawing it up. Like, if this play was to, if the running back, hits it into C gap, like, he should be there to make the tackle. Our Mike linebacker, like I said, should be reading fast flow. He should be getting there, and then our Sam linebacker, or our Will linebacker, should be getting that key that, he sees guard pull. He needs to kind of read in this direction. Sorry, I'm drawing so many arrows. He should kind of be reading here and then get into that lane, because obviously we know that we have backside help if there was a counter bootleg reverse. Even if a play was to come back, any type of misdirection, like, he's still there. He's not trying to, get over there as fast as he can. He wants to kind of slow play this and then be on a good pursuit angle if the play does break out. Our corners, just based on the run fit here, these are going to be, we're going to play cover 2 as our base. And he's going to play flat right here. If the run comes to him, he should be block destructing this guy if we do read the run. But we've got a force player coming down here from our strong safety. Hopefully the strong safety makes the play, and he's kind of our last resort. And obviously, coming from the backside there, as long as we get a good read right here on this, no run or pass. If it's run, get there. And then back here on the backside, hopefully we're not. If we read pass, then it makes it a little different based on it all depends on whether it's run or pass. So that's the first thing players have to diagnose, whether it's run or pass. But then getting to the run fit, and hopefully right here we're making the tackle in between the C to D gap, either our Sam or our strong safety is making that tackle. So I hope this all makes sense. Like, there's just a lot to the overall scheme here of the 4-3. I think it's a complex system, and I don't currently run the 4-3, but I have run it in the past, and it's been good for me. And it's like all the answers are there in the 4-3, and it just all makes sense to me. And that's how I first learned. I mean, I've been coaching now for almost 6 years, and this all it all made sense to me about 2 years in to kind of coaching defense, and then it's why I'm a defensive coordinator now, obviously, because just the understanding of the run fits have kind of paved the way for me to understand all this. So I hope this was helpful to you guys.
All right, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for watching this video on the 4-3 defense run fits. So I hope you enjoyed these Chalk Talk sessions. Definitely leave me a comment down below what you want me to talk about next. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.